What's up, fellow entrepreneurs? It's John Foggerholm again, and today I'm going to bring you a very special treat. Instead of talking about any of the crazy California laws that I usually speak about, I'm going to interview a successful entrepreneur and businessman. I'm hoping this interview is interesting and useful, and if it is, I'll do a few more interviews with some of the amazing entrepreneurs that I've met along my journey. Today's guest is Marc Kreiner. Marc is both a close friend of mine and one of my mentors. Most of you will probably recognize his name from the mixed martial arts world and his very successful clothing brand called Tapout. Marc was the president and chairman of the board of this highly successful brand before it was sold for several hundreds of millions of dollars several years ago. After Tapout, Marc started a restaurant group and opened his flagship restaurant called The Morrison. Last year, The Morrison was voted the seventh best restaurant in all of America by Yelp and has won several other accolades such as Best Bread Pudding and Best Happy Hour, just to name a few of the awards that he's won with his restaurant. Marc has been a lifelong entrepreneur, and each of his businesses have reached the top of their game. Marc first found success as a music producer in the 70s. At one point, he was called King of Disco with over 200 gold and platinum records and even a Grammy. After his adventures in the music industry, Marc found success in the infomercial world before selling that business and joining Tapout. Today, he's still operating his restaurant group and his award-winning restaurant, The Morrison. I hope you enjoy this brief interview with Marc as much as I have enjoyed having Marc as a friend and a mentor. Anyway, good to see you again, Marc. It's been
Fun.
January, February, maybe?
Yeah, it's been months. It's good to see you too.
Yeah, and you've been quarantined for a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you were quarantined, what was it, 14 days?
Actually, I was quarantined for 30 days.
Wow, that must have been rough. Because I'm
Oh,
I'm stir crazy here in my apartment. I have to get out once a day or I'll go crazy.
yeah, no, I was committed to my bedroom.
Ugh, man. So what'd
Yeah.
you do in that spare time? I know with the entrepreneurial, as entrepreneurial as you are, you probably didn't waste any time.
Well, I just, my mind was just all over the place, just thinking, trying to create how to turn a negative into a positive.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was interesting.
And
A lot
it's
of
a
meditation.
and it's a big week for you guys because the Morrison just opened back up, right?
Just opened up on Saturday, yeah, a few days ago.
Mm. How's the business going?
Well, business, thank God we've got some people that are, that have been regulars that have come in here for years.
Mhm.
We're in our eighth year, so it's nice, but it's, we're at about 20% of where we were.
Oof, that's rough. Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah, because your rent doesn't drop by 80%. Your other expenses don't drop by 80%.
Nothing. Still the
So
main.
you've been around a while, so you've been through, other weird disasters in the U.S. I mean,
Oh
I've
yeah.
been through a few. What do you think about all of this?
You know, um, I'm kind of mixed. I mean, obviously, I'm very concerned that myself or loved ones or friends, don't get sick or
Yeah,
potentially. But it seems to be way beyond where it needs to be right now.
yeah, and that's what I was thinking too, because initially we all thought, this is not a big deal. It's like the
Right,
flu, right? And then uh, then it got serious, right? And
right.
I still remember clearly the day we shut down the office. I was like, wow, this is surreal.
Yeah,
Just packing up boxes and telling lawyers, here's how you do your work
sure.
on, right? But as we've been going on, and you start hearing more reports, and you start looking at the numbers, you start going, what's going on here? Because it's is the cure worse than the disease? And I know you weren't around in the Great Depression, but I have a lawyer mentor that was. He was a kid during the Great
Wow,
Depression, and plus stuff I've read and seen on
sure.
television. But he tells me how bad it was back then. Just the starvation, the crime rates, just everything, right?
Yeah,
So I don't understand putting us back into those sort of numbers. Now, I'm not trying to make it seem like that's happening right now. People are starving or whatever, but those same numbers is what caused all of that back then, right?
Right.
So who knows what the effects will be here, but why take the risk, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what are you doing about your employees? And
Well, unfortunately, being the fact that we can only do takeout right now, I've got about 7 employees. I mean, I'd like to employ them all,
yeah,
but it's limited. We can't have anybody in the restaurant. We've got to do everything by code, the health department, anyone who comes in the building has to be shot with their temperature and gloves and mask. And actually, I came in my office to take my mask off, but it's kind of surreal to be in the restaurant, and like it's weird because basically it's takeout. It's pick up and
yeah.
take out, and that's it. So I've got the cooks, I got a bartender because of all this, the ABC loosened up their ruling as far as now we can sell alcohol and beer and cocktails out the door.
Wait a minute. So how does that work? Because I'm a cocktail guy, right?
Right. So you
And
can
I've been living
call,
off White Claws, so time for something harder.
you can call and you can request anything you'd like in our bar, and we prepare it and then pick it up and take it out of here.
And you just drink it as you walk down the street, or how does this work?
Oh no, you can't drink. No, it's got to stay. It's got to be in your car, like in the trunk until you get home. And it's like
Oh, okay.
considered
Okay.
like an open container.
Got it. And
But
and what do you serve a mixed drink in now that it's, so if I ordered a
like a
vodka water.
margarita. Yeah, so we give it to you like in a like a juice, the plastic juice things, the 8-ounce juice things. We
Uh,
make it, we put it in there and chill it. And but if you get beer, we give you growlers, like 32-inch growlers, 32-ounce growlers. So it's good.
nice.
We don't sell pints, just the growlers. So it's very safety, driven,
Yeah.
as far as
So this, I mean, there's always going to be businesses that do well in every disaster, right? The ones that were just positioned in the right place, So,
right,
uh, you've got like anything delivery related. I mean, Amazon is crushing it right now,
right,
right? And then you've got these businesses that you always thought was stable no matter what, right? Like parking
right,
lots, like
right,
parking lots were just doesn't matter, and now
right,
parking lots are struggling. But I
right,
was thinking, because I have so many restaurant owners that, these restaurants like yours that have these big spaces and these big build outs. I mean, this must just be tough because you're paying these huge rents and then you don't get use of that space and and
right.
all the stuff that makes the Morrison special.
Right. Well, you're right. You're 100% correct. Now, what's interesting is that according to the health department, or what I heard yesterday, was that they're going to now allow us. Now, I know they're doing this in Long Beach now. The mayor approved it, but they're going to allow us to put, because of the social distancing, they're going to allow us to put tables in our parking lot.
Oh, so
So I
instead
find,
of parking, we can have outdoor seating.
yes, and we can serve alcohol out there. So
All
that's
right.
that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, you should have a huge reopening. I know how good you are at marketing.
Oh yeah, we are. It's gonna be
Sell
Christmas
tickets.
at the Morrison.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you missed one of your big Patty's Day. Yeah, I
And
thought
also
of you the
Cinco de
day that
Mayo.
I.
Cinco
Huh?
de Mayo.
Oh, Cinco de Mayo. That's another big one for you, right?
Yeah,
But Patty's Day is the biggest.
yeah, that's the biggest.
Man, that's
Two
rough.
days before.
2 days.
Shut it down. 2 days before.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Wow, that was rough. That was
Yeah,
rough. Yeah.
it was tough.
Yeah, speaking of businesses that probably are doing well is probably food trucks, right? Because they don't have to really do much different than what they were
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, food
Yeah.
trucks. Yeah, and I'll tell you who else is doing real good. All the drive-in restaurants. The
Oh,
drive
drive through, yeah.
that maybe you did so now they're just like packed because people, were afraid to go in anywhere.
Yeah, thank God I'm not a fast food guy or
Yeah.
uh,
Well, I had my first Big Mac in about 10 years a couple of weeks ago.
how was it? I can't remember the last time I ate a Big Mac.
Oh,
How
God,
was
I
it?
had a Carl's Jr. Oh, it's terrible.
No. But this whole thing is pushing us in a weird way, right?
Yeah.
So I have a huge expense for my office space, but you know, I saw this coming about a week before I started getting nervous.
Right.
So we set everything up so that we could work remotely. It's actually working out pretty well, you know. So unfortunately, I have this big space for this long-term lease, but it kind of shows other people that, uh, you know, these big spaces are probably a thing of the past, you know.
Yeah, I think so, right? I mean, especially with Zoom and everything else, especially with you guys, it should be, I think it's going to really change the outcome of a lot of businesses.
Well, I've done, since we've shut down, I've done 4 Zoom mediations.
Wow.
Yeah, and but they basically just divide you up into 2 separate rooms, and then the mediator jumps back and forth from room to room, and it was
Really?
no different than if I was standing there.
Right.
Uh, and you know, so it was pretty cool. I don't know how a trial would work though. I have a trial coming up July uh, 7th, and they're saying that they want to do it by phone. And I'm like, this is like, how do I cross-examine? You know, how do I
Wow.
show them the documents? Like, so I don't know how this is gonna end up, but I have a really good case. So I don't want to risk my case on some new way of doing things. I want to be there in the flesh, you know. So
Right.
yeah.
So is
Well,
that, is it, are courts not open doing trials yet?
well, the Superior Court and the federal courts are shut down for everything except an emergency. This particular one that I have on July 7th is workers' comp, and that's not usually my area, but there was a conflict of interest for one of my attorneys, so I'm going to take the trial.
Oh,
And uh, yeah, he used to work for the other firm that we're going
really?
against, so they, you know, they asked for him to be removed, so I jumped in. And so, not a big deal. I mean, workers' comp trials are much easier than Superior Court trials, so not a problem doing it, but they want us to do it by phone, which is,
Wow.
you know, and typically they're done just like a regular trials. You're in a room and
Sure.
you cross-examine and, you know, opening, closing, you know, so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So for my viewers that don't know you, uh, Mark, let's talk a little bit about the past because I've already done this intro, you know, about your past. So I'm sure they're curious. We met each other in the Tapout days, and you were formerly president and chairman of Tapout,
Yeah.
which was amazing, amazing company. I don't know, maybe I'd rather you speak about it than I speak about it.
Well, I mean, it was another phenomenon, you know. I mean, it was a great experience. You know, it was the first MMA is the first new sport in 100, first new regulated sport in 150 years that got approved. But you know, I was involved with the guys. I actually didn't start the company. I was brought in.
Yeah.
Uh, the boys at that time were doing about 400,000 in 2006 just through the internet, and when I came in 2 years, we were doing 200 million in sales.
So what was the difference between what they were doing and what you set them up with? Because I met them in front of Roscoe's and they were just selling out of their trunk.
Right.
But that was probably a good 5, 6, 7 years
I got involved.
before you got involved. So
Right.
I don't know what they had done in between that and you.
Well, they did a great job in marketing, you know, but really what they did is they gave me the tools to take it to the next level. It's kind of like, you know, in business, you really want to get people that complement each other, that, you know, you want a team effort. And so we complemented each other well. What they did, I didn't do, and what I did, they didn't do. But they gave me the ability with their marketing to take it to do what I do in my level of marketing to take it to the next level.
Got it. Got it. And so it seems to me, just from the little I know that was going on back then, is they were really good at building a brand because they were everywhere. You know, even people that weren't in MMA kind of knew them, but it seemed like they hadn't figured out how to translate that into sales, right?
Correct.
Into
Correct.
you know, so
Correct.
they have the uh,
Yes. And that's what I do. And that's what I did. I put it all together
yeah.
with that.
So I want to show you a video real quick that I came across, and I want to show you this video because I want to I want to ask you about something in particular. Let me see. How do we do this? Oh, I guess I can't share the screen. I was gonna try to share a screen because there's a. Oh, actually, here I can do it. I'm still learning this too. Do you remember this video?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so here's what I want to ask you about. As soon as it comes, where is that gun right there?
Which gun?
You see that gun on the wall?
Oh yeah.
What is that?
Oh, that was just a gun that was an old-fashioned gun that somebody gave me as a gift, and I put it up on the wall.
Oh, I see. Okay, because I'm a gun guy, so I was like, what is
Yeah.
that? Like that's the first thing that I
Notice?
noticed when I came across that video.
How about a guy who was 50 pounds heavier at that time too?
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and after I'm trying to figure out how to stop sharing. Oh, stop share. Here we go. See, Zoom makes it so easy for you that it becomes complicated. Yeah. So prior to Tapout, then you were doing a lot of the what was that thing called? The infomercial stuff, because that's how you met the Tapout guys, right?
Right. I was doing infomercial. Before that, I was doing music.
Yeah, the disco stuff.
Yes, sir.
So I also didn't know, and I've known you for such a long time. I'm surprised I don't know any of this stuff, but I didn't realize you started out as a DJ.
Yeah, I started out as a DJ in Marina Del Rey, making $50 a night and all the drinks I could buy girls free.
Wow, that actually seems like a pretty good pay. What year was that?
Wow, prehistoric.
Because your first disco credit looks like 1977.
Yeah, I was actually 19 and I lied about my age to get a job saying I was 21. And I was sharing a bedroom with my kid sister, making $50 a night, feeling like a king.
Yeah, that's not bad for 1970, whatever that was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got into you're one of the first guys to get into disco, is what it was, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Disco, promoting disco music. And what happened is, the disco at that time, I want to say the creators, but the leaders was the gay community initially. And they did a great job with discos. And then the one that I worked at was the first like really straight disco in Marina Del Rey. So like, we had all different types of people that came in, but there was a guy from all the record execs would come into this place. And one of them said to me, you got a great ear. You should listen to the song. And I can't hear a tune. And he played me this song called Dance, Dance, Dance by Sheik, and I said, oh, it sounds great. He said, well, how would you like to buy it and have the rights to the group? And, I said, oh, sure. How much? And he said, well, I think I can get the deal done for $6,000. Well, I had like 6 cents to my name, but I knew where my parents kept their $20 bills underneath the mattress. So I said, oh yeah, no problem. I said, well, look, I don't really know how to make a record deal. Why don't you be my partner? And that was the beginning of Sheik.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And you have over 200 platinum records or something
I
like
have
that.
over 200 gold platinum records and a Grammy. Yeah.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
What's interesting is now you're this big restaurateur of one of the best restaurants in LA, voted, right? By I know you guys have
number 7 restaurant in the country by Yelp in the Hot 100.
That's right. So all these people that know you from that have no idea about the Tapout stuff. All the people that know you from Tapout probably have no idea about the disco stuff. So you've had this long string of big hits.
Yeah, I believe, for me, I believe when I conclude an industry or business I've been in, because when I've done it, I've gotten to the top of that industry. That's it. So I don't really talk a lot about my past because I'm trying to stay in the present or go in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, unless somebody says something to me or they recognize me because, we had our own TV show on with Tapout, and I've got one of those faces that people don't know if I'm a criminal or a good guy, like.
Well, I remember the TV show, and I also remember the billboards. I remember you had billboards all over.
125 of them with the yellow billboard. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those. Very sugar, because you had the cigar, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what do you think, what do you think happens from here? Because all of your successes have been in California, but it's starting to look like California is not the place that it used to be. You know, it's starting to look like, you know, a lot of industries moving to Texas and Nevada and a bunch of other places. Elon Musk is now threatening to leave, you know, so what are your thoughts on?
Well, for now, you know, I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm one of those guys that decides not to participate in all this craziness, you know. So I've always been an underdog my life and always came back on top. So, you know, it's being right now, it's very tough because when you're doing 15-20% of your numbers, when your
Mm.
overhead is as high as ours is, but you know, it's, for me, it's like not quitting 2 minutes before the miracle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and just take it one day at a time, you know, and do the best I can do. When I start thinking about tomorrow or next week or the next holiday or what's going to happen July 4th, are they going to open up? Are they going to open up for 25? It's like, I just don't want to participate in the insanity. I think there's so much insanity going on right now that I just got to try to stay focused.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with you somewhat. I mean, for the most part, I agree with you. Certainly the philosophy, but I'm also starting to think that you know, I was just reading this quote by Tony Robbins where he was saying um, he was always a California guy, and then he left when he realized that California didn't want him anymore, and it was just based on taxes and cost of living and you know all of these different things that. That make you say, "Hey, is this the best?"
Well,
You
yeah, I
know,
mean, John, you know, in the right scenario, I'm not anchored here anymore. Does that make sense? I mean,
yeah,
if something came up, an opportunity, whereas I'd never say, "Oh, I'll never leave California," blah blah blah. I just think this is such a brutal state to do business in all areas. The
yeah,
laws, you know, being an employer, you know, all that stuff, the taxes, but you know, it's pretty tough.
yeah. But 300 days of sunshine.
You got that.
That's what keeps me here.
Just don't go lay on the beach.
Yeah, isn't that an odd?
Okay.
Yeah. So we've been going to the beach even before they reopened it
Oh, good.
because at some point the police were just like, we're not going to enforce this stupid law or whatever the reason. They were there. They just didn't say anything to us. But yeah, I don't understand it either.
I mean, they're
You know,
letting criminals out of jail, but we can't sit on the beach.
well, so here's what bothers me is absurdity, right? That's the thing where I go, hey, this doesn't make any sense. Is it just about imposing your will, or does this result in something? So the one that bothered me was when the sheriff Villanueva or whatever made that speech, and within a 20-minute speech, he said, "Hey, we're a bunch of cops are going to get sick, so we're probably not going to be able to police as well as we do. Um, we're letting out a bunch of criminals, and we're shutting down gun stores." And I thought, wow, that's a really absurd speech all in one to say all of these things, you know. So, and there's been so much stuff that's come out like that, you know, like the, hey, we'll open up the beach, but you can't sunbathe. Like, what sense does that make?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, but
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's crazy times, you know. I never thought I'd be sentenced to my bedroom for 30 days, you know.
yeah,
Uh,
that must have been rough because I'm sentenced to my very large apartment,
yeah.
and only partially because I go out every day and I still get stir crazy.
But, you know, I'm grateful I didn't get sick, and I'm grateful I didn't get the virus, and I'm grateful I'm okay. And, you know, that's really what it is.
Yeah, yeah. So when does the patio open or the parking lot open?
I it I don't know. It changes
Oh,
every
okay.
15 minutes. You know, I gotta I gotta check with the health department. I don't know. And then
Yeah,
I heard July 4th they want to completely open restaurants. So does that mean like completely, or does that mean 20? I don't know. I don't know.
yeah, because I heard they're gonna keep everything closed
August.
till August. So how would they do that July 4th? That doesn't make
That's what
sense.
the word was yesterday. They want to get everything open July 4th.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, you know what I'm most bummed about, and then I'll get into a very good Marc Kreiner story. But
Okay.
the most bummed about is I finally bought season seats.
Oh
So
no.
I had the Lakers, I had the Clippers, and I had
Oh,
all playoff games. I had everything,
oh
and
no.
I was enjoying, giving them away, selling them, using them whenever I wanted to use them. It was just, and I live a block from Staples, so this is just perfect for me. And then it all shut down.
Oh, Jesus.
And they still haven't said what they're going to do about that. They haven't said, hey, are we going to give you your money back, or so who
Oh, they
knows?
haven't said it yet?
Nothing. They haven't. They said we don't know until the NBA says what they're going to do, because they may restart the season.
Yeah, but they not with people.
Well, that's what I know. So who knows what they're going to do?
I
Which
don't
leads
know.
me to one of my favorite Marc Kreiner stories.
Uh-oh, the Lakers.
The Lakers, you in the front row during the playoffs, popping a bottle of champagne and spilling it all over the floor. That's awesome. What year was that?
Holy bananas. I don't really, the Lakers,
Because it was Lakers.
Philadelphia?
Maybe. It's interesting. I told you this story. I was in South Dakota in a bar having a drink with, a bunch of people that I was with. And I look up and I'm like, oh, they're replaying an old Lakers game. And then I'm just talking and drinking. And then I look up and then I see you in the front row spilling that bottle of champagne. And I was
Dom
like, wait a
Perignon,
minute.
it was a magnum of Dom Perignon. And, in glass is illegal in arenas.
Yeah.
But because I was very close friends with Jerry Buss and stuff, they looked the other way. And this was the game that looked like they were going to win the championship. And so I had floor seats right across from Jack Nicholson. And every time the Lakers would score, I'd jump up and I'd hold the bottle because I didn't want it to break on the floor and shake. Well, after a period of time, the champagne popped. And it popped on national TV when the players were running down. They had to call a timeout, a national timeout. And they were selling, the Lakers are going to win, boom, and all over the place. And it was pretty embarrassing, but it was fun.
And they didn't kick you out.
No, they couldn't. I was friends with
Good to know people in high places, right?
But I didn't break the glass. They told me don't break the glass, Mark.
Yeah. Anyway, Mark, that's about a half hour, so I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you're trying to get the restaurant up and running, but if there's anything you want to say to these entrepreneurs, in closing, feel free.
Well, I just think the most important thing from my experience is that you just got to have, you've got to have confidence with yourself and believe, really believe, and go after your passion and your dreams. And again, as I shared with you earlier, to me, what I live by is I just don't quit 2 minutes before the miracle, because it's so easy to say, screw it, but yeah. I'm one of those guys that the word no doesn't exist in my vocabulary, and I'll keep going until I can't go anymore.
Yeah. And that's why I love you. All right. So I'll be seeing you tomorrow anyway.
All right. Sounds terrific. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, John. Bye-bye.